some people think that moving across the world with $600 and a plan to start a YouTube channel is absolutely crazy, nuts. Others think it's admirable and may get some motivation from it. That's my experience with telling people my story. Now, do I regret my decision 6 months later? No, not at all. You know, I was stuck in a bad place back in New York. I was depressed, sad, in general, just struggling, you know? And the thing most people tell me is that I should have waited, say 6 months, 1 year. I should have saved money, worked and saved money. The problem with that is that I was not able to save a dime. You know, I have a tattoo business. I had a tattoo business that was declining for about a year. You know, just declining more and more, less and less clients, until inevitably I was struggling to even pay my bills. And so I couldn't save any money month on month, not saving anything. And I decided at some point, well, I want to take a leap. I know I don't want to stay here. I know I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do vlogs. I want to do it in Southeast Asia. And I just thought, this is the time to do it. You know, it's only going to get more competitive, more saturated. And I thought, if I can do it now, I know that I can succeed at it. You know, there was something in my mind that I knew that I would succeed. That's the reality. It's hard to convince people of that, you know, and it doesn't mean it wasn't a risky move, you know. I don't think that anything good necessarily comes easy. And sometimes you need to take risks to get a reward. You know, it's not much different than somebody taking out loans to start a business and, you know, taking on a lot of risk. You know, some people might say that's stupid. But, you know, if you believe in yourself, which I did, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, I think it was the right move for me. And so I don't actually regret it at all. I really don't. And this was the most difficult time of my life. These past six and a half months, financially and mentally, extremely difficult. You know, a lot of uncertainty. You know, I have no job. I kind of came over with no income, no job. So it was like, you have to do it. You know, you have to figure it out, or else you're going to, be homeless and not be able to eat? No, I wasn't going to let that happen. So yeah, it forces you to work. Sometimes throwing yourself into the deep end is pretty motivational, or forces you to do what you need to do. And so, as much as I was struggling in New York, I was still comfortable in some way. You know, I could still pay my bills and eat, even though I wasn't saving any money. And this comfort maybe led to a lack of motivation. And so, I think throwing myself into it and just doing it, it was essential. And I think I did it at the best time. You know, I think if I would have waited 6 more months, where would I be? I would have still the same amount of money, which was, $600. No savings except for $600 that I came here with. You know, I had a rental, I had my flight, and then $600. And so you could say, that's more than 600. Right, it is, but not much more. So I knew, okay, I have 1 month of an Airbnb, and like in that month, I got to figure it out. No fallback plan really. You know, the only real fallback plan that I had was that I can teach English. You know, and originally I went to Thailand, and I knew I could get an English teaching job if I really, really needed to. And I did. I actually interviewed for a job, and they told me I could get $1,100 a month, and they wanted me to start immediately. You know, no college degree, no teaching experience, nothing. No certifications, nothing like that. But I decided in the end not to do it. I decided this is going to take all day of every day, 9 to 5, where I need to be filming. I need to make content in the daylight. And I thought, where am I going to get? I'm going to be stuck again in a different position. Maybe it would be good and it would be nice to have the security. But I thought, let me just really push it and let me just really try to do this without taking this job. And that's what I did. Knowing that there's many more teaching jobs where that came from, and if I really needed to, that's what I could do. And so I pushed through, going broke many times. Until now, I'm not necessarily raking it in. I'm not doing that well financially yet, but each month it's growing. And now the channel is starting to grow faster. And the income is growing a bit faster. There is no quick route to success, especially with something like YouTube. I mean, it takes a lot of time. It takes months of putting in just endless amounts of work and seeing nothing, seeing zero. And that's demotivating. It's difficult to get through, right? Especially if you upload a video. If I upload a video and it doesn't perform well, tough, stressful, right? But you learn a lot. There's a reason I'm uploading every single day. It's because I get a lot of data. I get a lot to learn from, to figure out what people actually want to watch. And as difficult as it is to get out there and come up with a video every single day, I think it's been pivotal to get the channel to where it is now. And so, I'm very happy I made this decision. I don't necessarily think I can recommend it for everyone. I don't put yourself in a bad position, I will say. But still, there is something to throwing yourself into a very tough spot, which forces you to do what you need to do. And there may not ever be the right time. That's the reality, You don't know how long you're going to live. You could literally die the next day. And so there are many people out there who regret not making a move like this some point in their life. And, now they have a wife, they have kids, they have a family, wherever it is, back in America, wherever. And so now it's not feasible. It's not really an option to do something like this, to go across the world and travel or live somewhere you always dreamed to live. And so after hearing a lot of stories like that, watching a lot of YouTube videos, following a lot of vloggers myself, it pushed me to take the leap. That was partially my motivation, is seeing other vloggers during the pandemic as I'm sitting there at home watching videos, thinking, I wish I would have done this sooner. I wish I would do this now. And it still took me 2-3 more years after that to finally get myself to do it. There was moments where I had 10, 15, 20,000 US dollars saved, where I thought, maybe this is the moment that I should just go. But I was still comfortable, still had a bit of a tattoo career going, although it was declining. And so I didn't do it. I didn't take that leap for a while. And I ended up doing it when I had next to nothing. The most unadvisable situation to do that, right? But like I said, I foresaw maybe 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, not being in any different of a spot. And, I was even worried that I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills. And if my business continued to decline, I didn't know what I would do. I really didn't. I didn't have a fallback plan in America either. And so it was tricky. I didn't even have enough money to sign a new lease. And so when the time was running out, when I knew I would have to get a new apartment or I had to make the move, I said, all right, this is the time. This is the time. Either I get an apartment with a bunch of roommates and really scrap it together and try and get this tattoo business back strong, or I do what I really want to do and I move. And that's what I chose. If you think you're the type of person that thrives on, being cornered, thrives on being in a tough spot, it might be the move for you, you know, especially if you have the option to do something like teaching English. That's a great move. You know, you don't need to necessarily come over here with no plan. You don't need to come over here and just try and start a YouTube channel unless you really want to do that. I think that I am privileged. I'm very grateful to be from a first world country that allows me to have a lot of, just more choices than some others would have. I don't think that I don't understand that, because some people do tell me consistently, you know, that I wouldn't be able to do this if I wasn't from a first world country. And yeah, maybe that's true. There's a lot of privilege there. You know, I can come to Malaysia for 3 months. I can kind of leave, travel around, come back without any real issues, for now at least. And, you know, maybe I'm treated a certain way because of the, you know, where I'm from as well. I think everyone has the opportunity to start a YouTube channel, to do social media, to make money online in that way. It's not specific to me. It's not specific to where I'm from at all, you know. But those things surely helped, and I'm grateful that, I'm grateful that I grew up in America, actually, because it allows me a lot of freedom now, you know, even leaving the country. I understand actually locals have it quite tough here, you know. I know I talk about how great Malaysia is, and, you know, the quality of life is so high, because to me it is, it feels like it. But I know it doesn't feel like that to everybody here, especially people who grew up here and are not in the best financial situation. But just know that, you know, every country has its problems, and I think, you know, there's a lot of redeeming qualities to look at, and just to look at the positives about the country, instead of, you know, focusing on your situation or focusing on the politics, the government, you know, things that bother you. That stuff can really bring you down when, you know, it's not necessarily productive to focus on. And so, you know, I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be like a motivational speaker or something like that, but I'm just speaking from the heart. I'm speaking from my own story, my own experience. You know, what motivated me, what got me to make a big move in life that I think is going to pan out for the better, and it's going to help me to build the future that I want to build. Where otherwise I may not have. I would have still been quite depressed, and, you know, it's a tough place to be. It's a tough place to be. So if you are depressed, you have to do something about it. You have to create some goals. You really have to think about what you want and what you could possibly be doing that you would be living a happier life, and then do what you need to do to get there. You know, nobody's going to do it for you. No, not everybody's so risk averse. Some people don't like to take any risks, and I get that. You know, I lived my whole life taking risks. I lived my whole life no security, you know, never working like a 9-to-5 job. I worked in a movie theater when I was 16 for 2 years. That's the only real job that I've ever had. Then I did freelance marketing. I spent 10 years you know, selling clients on marketing services, talking to big CEOs of companies and selling them on my services, my marketing, and helping them. And that was pivotal in building the skills that I have today to speak on camera, to speak in this way in general. And yeah, it's helped me exponentially, even with the tattoo business. You know, it led me right into the tattoo business. And so I'm grateful for, my past and the skills I've built in order to do what I'm doing now. I just wanted to make this video to, I don't know, elaborate a little bit more on my story and why I did what I did. I think people really seem to appreciate these videos that come from the heart more than the videos that I go around town and vlog, you know, different parts of the city. You know, as much as I will make those videos and I will travel and keep improving the content, I will always do these more personal videos. And I think it's very important for my channel. I think it's like the bread and butter of what I do here. And, you know, people always respond to it. And so, yeah, I'm thankful for all of you watching and subscribing, commenting, pressing thumbs up on the video just because I say it. Yeah, it means a lot, and you guys are helping me to get to where I want to be, and you already did kind of help me, start living the life I want to live, and so I'm thrilled about this. I really am. Again, it's not only the Malaysians. I say that because I'm here in Malaysia. I have a big Malaysian audience, but I also have 40% of an audience who is from other parts of the world, and so I really appreciate everyone watching. And I hope you continue to follow my journey, and I can't wait to see where we're at 6 months, 1 year down the line, looking back at all this, looking back at the struggle. They say that the journey is it's more about the journey, not the destination. People typically get to their end goal destination and they realize, oh, I wasn't very present during that journey. I was too focused on wanting to get rich or this or that. When you have to take a step back and try and enjoy where you're at and enjoy what you have, look at the positives of what you have, and that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I will continue to do day to day. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Drop a thumbs up if you like these kind of videos, and I will see you tomorrow in another vlog.